Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I've been on the carnivore diet for 3 months. I've eaten nothing but steak, eggs, salmon, bacon, cheese, milk. Basically anything meat and dairy, I have eaten. It has been an amazing diet. I feel absolutely incredible. And I say that with sincerity. I just feel amazing. It's one of the best diets I've done by a linear mile. When I first started this diet, it was 167.9 kilos and my body fat was 27.1%. So I was in a bit of a bad place. Training wasn't really going anywhere with anything, just a bit lost with that. Eating whatever I wanted, a really bad relationship with food. I'd just come back from holiday and I just felt like crap and I thought I've got to do something about this. So I started the carnivore and I've switched my life around. I am currently 159 kilos, so I've lost, quick math, 9 kilos, just shy of 9 kilos. And today we're going to do a Dexa scan. So I'm going to travel up to Manchester and have a Dexa scan. So a Dexa scan is 100% accurate and it measures your lean body mass, your body fat to the absolute decimal. So we're going to find out what my true body fat is today as well. And we're also going to be meeting with Phil Richards, who is one of the best blood work doctors in the country. It's something ridiculous like 300 plus markers in your blood. So I did a blood test probably about 3-4 weeks ago now and the results are in and he's managed to get it ready for today. So we're going to talk about that as well. Just before we do the before and after pictures, I am training at the minute. I am training for an arm wrestling match against Brian Shaw and that is in about a month's time. And then I'm also training for an MMA fight / boxing fight against Mariusz Podnowski. So I'm on the cusp of signing a contract to fight him pretty soon, hopefully within the next 3 or 4 months. So training's ramping up. You know, I'm in heavy fight training, I'm doing lots of weights, and obviously I'm arm wrestling as well. Look at the size of that. That's a forearm right there. So I've got some pictures from before that we're going to put on the screen now. This is what I looked like 3 months ago, and just a bit chubby, a little bit saggy in areas, just felt flat, just felt absolutely horrible, and the performance was really bad. Right, pictures are in, so, I mean, I can see a big difference here, so, can you get in on that, James? Can you see that clear enough? I don't know about you, but abs is definitely the number one thing you notice, and then look at the size on the shoulders, and the arms, and just like the legs seem a bit beefier. So even though I've lost 9 kilos, in my opinion, like that is a big, big difference. Like over 3 months, I'm well happy with that. Okay, I mean, that's the evidence there. So I've lost 9 kilo, but I look bigger. And my strength, and I honestly can't say this enough, my strength has gone through the roof. Shoulder pressing 100 kilo dumbbells, hurt my tricep doing it, but I did it. I'm benching 200 kilo for reps. I'm squatting 260 for reps quite easily. Deadlifting, I was doing side handle stuff because obviously I'm fighting, I don't need to actually deadlift, but I'm doing 320, 340 kilo deadlifts, easy reps. So my strength, considering I'm not training for strength, I'm MMA fighting at the minute, my strength is through the roof, absolutely through the roof. It's probably the strongest I've been for the last, 4 years. I'd say I wasn't this strong until 4 years ago, 2020. And I was 175 kilo in 2020. So it goes to show. Right, enough about that. We're going to crack on with my breakfast. So we're going to go through so I've made some tweaks. So I've been on the carnivore. Now I'm going to start implementing little bits of fruit, little bits of veg. And this is just for me. This is because I believe my body needs it. I think the diet's done me a world of good. I feel fantastic. But longevity and sustainability, that's the main thing. It needs to be interesting to me. It needs to be things I enjoy. And I enjoy fruit, I enjoy vegetables. And I think little portions of them in my meals isn't going to do me any harm. I am, however, not going to eat carbs. I have found that my energy and my function and my mood is absolutely fantastic running off fats. Like I thrive. I feel so much better eating fats than I do carbs. So I'm not eating carbs anymore. And I'm not going to be super strict with it. You know, if it's one of the kids' birthdays, and we've got birthday cake, I'm going to have a piece of cake. You know, it's not something I'm going to stress about. But in general, 99% of my meals are going to have no carbs in. So, breakfast. I swear I just heard little footsteps sneak up behind me. I did. How is that not the most beautiful baby in the world? Come here, you. Come here. Oh, who's a gorgeous girl? Hey? It's a kiss. Bah. Mwah. You gonna have some breakfast with me? Oh, I know what you want. Right, so breakfast is going to be 200 grams of organic smoked salmon, good calories, good fats. And what I love about this is the organic is absolutely jam-packed with fish oils, cod liver oil and whatever else. Omega-3s, omega-6. And it's so good for your blood health, your heart health. And also, believe it or not, it's one of the best anti-aging compounds you can eat. And I'm big on anti-aging at the minute. Taking lots of anti-aging drugs, trying to extend my life. So smoked salmon's right at the top of the list for that as well. I did have some blueberries for after, but there we go. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? No, so also have full fat cottage cheese, don't bother with the half fat, non-fat crap, because I'm running off fats, that's what I want. And cottage cheese, it's also cheese. Cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is also really good for your immunity. It's got live bacteria in there, and this is something I'm really conscious of at the minute. It's keeping your immunity high, so I don't get sick, so I can train super hard. And to be honest, the diet's been phenomenal for that. I'm having lots of live cultures, yogurts and cottage cheese and whatever else. And I can honestly say I have not got sick whilst I was on the carnivore diet. I lost my voice at one point and we put that down to acid reflux. I think just from eating too much yogurt. But other than that, I've had no problem with the diet. Can you leave me some blueberries? Hmm? Can I have some? They were for me. They're mine. Mine. The only fruits I'm eating are only berries. So raspberries, blueberries, because they're the least carb heavy and they've got the most antioxidant sort of nutritional value to them. So it's going to help me recover, help flush everything out, and it's not going to fill me with as much sugars as say an apple or a banana. I don't want sugars. And I know I said I'm not eating carbs, and yet technically these are carbs, but small amounts. Breakfast done. Next up, before I head from a walk, is supplement stack. Go through that in a second. Right, supplement stack. So, before I get into my tablets, I'm going to make my shake that I wash all my tablets down with. And this is something I do every single morning. So first up is a scoop of protein. Just a normal scoop of whey protein, 21 grams of protein. High quality protein, just does the job. Loads of different flavours here, but I think today I'm going to go for, in fact, I'm going to go for Banafee pie. Because why not? I'm going to mix it with that many other things. I just want something sweet in there just so I can actually drink it. Right, so 1 scoop of protein. Big D. So that's got absolutely everything in it that your muscles need to grow. Creatine, beta-alanine, betaine, anhydrous, peak ATP, well-immune and estrogen. So well-immune is an immunity booster as well, so that's really good for your immune system. Scoop of hydro. New flavour, strawberry kiwi. It is fucking amazing, and this is the best hydration drink on the market. Because I was always dehydrated in the past, and since I've brought out hydro, hydration is no longer a problem. And then we have a number of other things as well. We've got like a lipid, vitamin C, glutathione. I have a little bit of fibre as well, because there's not much fibre in the carnivore diet, so I have to find myself supplementing just a little bit of fibre every day, just makes that bit of a difference. This is trans resveratrol. This is like an anti-aging drug. I have more of them in a minute. Scoop mix of mushrooms, chaga, lion's mane, etc, etc. Scoop of greens, so I'm bringing my own greens out soon, but a scoop of greens, and that's packed with probiotics and obviously greens from vegetables and whatever else. And then lignosus, which is a very good mushroom for lung health. Okay, tablet wise, those are all pretty much anti-aging tablets in there. We've been through all that before. The big ones that I think you should take is Big Joint. This has got everything in it to keep your joints super healthy, super limber, super flexible. And I think you'll find as you get older, you will appreciate the joint supplements a lot more. And then Big Love, because I struggled making babies for 10 years, and then I started taking a massive concoction of different things to boost production, fertility, libido. And you know what I thought after? I was like, found that sort of sweet spot with it. Obviously I worked with a TRT doctor as well, just to get my hormones spot on, so get everything firing. But I formulated this. It's Big Love, and it's a libido enhancer, but it also aids fertility as well. It's got everything you need in there to get your missus up the duff. It works. Obviously I've just had 2 kids, so don't take it if you don't want kids, put it that way. But it is good for libido. Like if you want to get a massive erection, you want to last longer, harder, go again, this is the one for you. I'm going to mix this with coconut water just to get a little bit extra hydration in there, because coconut water is great for hydration. That's mixed. Now we just smash it all down. Rock one. Right, we're gonna go for a walk. Bit of stretching, a little bit of arm wrestling training. So that arm wrestling training. So that'll be interesting for you. Just see what I'm doing. What are going to walkies? I could literally be in the North Pole, and I'll still have shorts and Crocs on. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Just whilst it's on my mind, Beast Farm has got Black Friday sale on from yesterday to Tuesday coming. At least 20% off the site, and if you find an affiliate code from one of the athletes, that's another 10% off. So we've got some big discounts. So link in description, and it'll be pinned in the comment as well. Show some love, thank you.
The morning walk for me is a time for me to collect my thoughts, think about the day ahead, and get ready for the carnage that's about to go down. Stretching is also an important part of my day. It gets me ready for the fight training, gets me all limbered up, and make sure I don't pull anything.
That's one thing I'm having to do a lot of for me fighting is stretching. Because obviously with all the weights that I do, it sort of shortens the length of the muscle, tightens the muscle heads, so I have to try and extend them as best as I can. And I tell you what, I am f***ing sore.
Oh, that's not bad. The Kandahar cock wrench.
Oh God. Oh, right, stretching done. A little bit of arm wrestling training. So I had a good match the other day actually with someone who came here. So my biceps very sore. So today's more about recovery, but it's just stupid high reps, like 4 minutes of just patting like a paddle against some weight, 2-minute holds, 4 minutes doing twists. It's just all recovery stuff today. Boring as hell, but look at my forearm now, and then we'll show it after, and you'll be like, what the fuck? Two minutes of over, 2 minutes of under. Boring shit, but this is what you gotta do. 100 reps of this. We've got 50 reps under, 50 reps over twice. Oh my God. Okay, this is a crippler now. It doesn't seem a lot. 20 kilo kettlebell after all that, and just 100 reps. Just squeeze into the hand. Right, last but not least, just a £100 grip closer, which again is pathetic, and just try and do 100 reps. And done. Look at the f***ing size difference. Is that not like twice the size of that arm?
That's mental.
It's nuts, isn't it? That is just meat. That bad boy. It's like a little baby, little embryo just growing there on the arm. Brian Shaw, coming for you. Time to head to the MMA gym, so I will see you there. Here we are, MMA training. We've got G Oaks and Jake Oaks, European kickboxing champion over there, and then just probably the world's most horrible bastard I've ever met. So, bit of MMA training. Obviously, we're training to fight Marius Panoski fairly soon. So, yeah, keep up.
Before training begins, we do a little bit of stretching, we do some shadow boxing, get all those little tendons and ligaments warmed up, just make sure we're not going to pull anything in the training session.
Smash out an hour. Was that 10 rounds plus warm-up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Quick hour session. We're going to head to Manchester now, get a Dexa scan. We're going to find out exactly what my body fat is. See you there. Right, I am at Diagnostic Healthcare in Manchester, and Lorraine here. How you doing?
Hi, good.
Good. I'm just about to go for my Dexa scan, so see you in a second.
Scan is straightforward. You'll be lying flat on your back. We might have to off-center you because you are just a tad bit bigger than our normal patients.
Yeah.
So we're going to off-center you a bit, and all you have to do is be nice and still for about 7 to 8 minutes in total.
Okay.
Yeah? So if you just slide a little bit down for me. All done. So Eddie, these are your results.
Okay.
All right. So like I mentioned earlier, this scan was to measure the amount of lean compared to the amount of fat in your body.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when we say lean mass, it includes all parts of the body, so your organs, your muscles, and the fluids. All right. Your total lean is 77.3%.
77.3% lean.
Yep.
Okay, so my lean mass is 115 kilo.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with your total fat is only 19.9%.
19.9.
So that's really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Are you happy with that?
Very happy with that.
Wonderful. All right.
27% body fat around here.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, I'm looking at about 15,
That's it.
roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave
All
it
right. So
down.
that's really good. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Right, we are back from the Dexa scan. I am very happy with that, by the way. I broke it down. So my lean mass is 122.9 kilo. So if I was 0% body fat, 122.9 kilo. My body fat was 19.9%. Well happy with that. Most blokes walking around, I can guarantee, are over 20%. Guarantee it. And I'm 160 kilo, 350 pounds. So yeah, I've lost 9 kilo from 3 months ago, and I've lost 7.2% body fat, and I've put half a kilo of lean mass. So my lean mass last time, at day one, was 122.4, and now I'm 122.9. So I put half a kilo on of muscle and lost 8.5 kilo of fat. Well happy with that. Lunch now. So I'd say now incorporating little bits of fruits and veg. So, and when I say little, I mean little. So that is literally just a little pack of vegetables, just broccoli, carrot, and snap peas. And I'll just cook that with my steak. So I'm gonna have 2 500-gram ribeye steaks, 3 eggs, and I'm gonna cook it all in butter. Cook it in about 15 gram of Irish butter. I say Irish butter because it's just the creamiest, i.e. the highest fat content. I'm a big believer that fats are good for you. Get them in you. Look at these bad boys for steaks. The thickness on that. That's a proper steak. And one of the most important elements, especially with my lunch when I've sweated a lot, also got the hydro, salt. And it tastes absolutely beautiful with ribeye cooked in butter. Just pile salt on there. So good for you. Anyone that says salt is bad for you, literally shut up. No, it's not. It is if you had that whole tub, it'd be bad for you. If you had too many vitamins, bad for you. Literally have as much salt as you want. Don't worry about it. 1 kilo of steak going in there, whole salt. And I'm just going to chuck the veg in so it cooks in the butter. See? That's it's multitasking, that is, James. You ever heard of that before?
Never heard of it.
I know, it's not many men can do it. Multitasking. Meat. I am so happy with that Dexa scan. To lose 7% body fat. I mean, you've got to be honest, I think that the calipers are probably going to be accurate, but I'd say within 1.5%. So let's say Luke got me as 27%. Let's say I was actually 25.5. I think that's probably more accurate, and I've lost probably 5.5 to 6% body fat. Which is still a lot. Still a lot. So look how much fat I've actually lost there. 7 kilo of fat. Put 7. I mean, that's a kilo of meat right there. So 7 kilo of fat would like bulge that saucepan. Huge, huge amount. And you can see it on the before and after pictures. You wait till I get the eggs in there as well, James. I'm going to be cooking steak, vegetables, and eggs all at the same time. I just don't know how I do it. Tell you what, I'm just going to start doing is having more fermented foods, pickled foods, because pickled foods are so good for your gut health, i.e. your immune system, and they are 0 carbs, and they taste absolutely wonderful. Beetroot and vinegar is literally one of my most favourite foods. Something that I'm going to have to wash down my steak is 2 scoops of Beast Farm Whey. That is 42 grams of protein. And I'm going to go for the Banafee Pie flavour because it is beautiful. 500 ml of gold top milk. Have you ever seen one of these before, James?
Show me what it does. I'm intrigued.
Mate, just watch this, right? So you normally put your protein in a shaker and put your liquid in. This, just stick it in. Look at that. Can you see that? Look at that.
Mixes it for you.
It's literally effortless. I think I'm going to have to make one of these. What would you call it? A frother?
Yeah.
Mixerer?
Mixerer.
The Beast Farm mixerer coming soon. Calories in this, I'll tell you, like this is honestly, it tastes better than a McDonald's milkshake. In fact, James, you have the first sip. Tell me how good that tastes.
It smells incredible. It smells like a McDonald's banana milkshake.
Yeah? Marks out 10?
10.
10, okay. With the milk and 2 scoops of protein, that's 600 calories and 60 gram of protein. 60 gram of protein in that. And it literally tastes like a McDonald's milkshake, but better. See that? Veg is nearly cooked. Right, the eggs are going on now, mate. You watching? 1, 2, 3. Just call me Gordon Ramsay.
What do you think Gordon Ramsay would say about this dish?
He would say that looks like it's going to be a pucker steak dinner. Right, we're on here. Steak. Got the veg. Look at that. Then I've got my protein shake to wash it down there. Okay, that looks good. That looks good, man. That's what I love about this diet is I can literally eat as much as I want. I eat till I'm absolutely full and then force eat, and I never put weight on. It's absolutely incredible. It's the best diet I've done by a mile because I can just eat and eat and eat. Right, I'll wolf this down. And then I've got Phil Richards coming, who's I call him a blood doctor, my blood doctor, who's going to talk to me about how this has affected my bloods, my internals, and to look what it's done to me inside, basically. So that'll be interesting. That's felt all at all. So I've just consumed for my lunch 3,247 calories and 270 grams of protein. Right, Phil will be here in the main. I'm going to take him in the basement and I'm going to talk through my bloods. Right, lunch is done. And we've got Mr. Phil Richards here now, who's travelled all the way here. Thank you, Phil, for coming. How are you doing?
Thank you, Ed. Yeah.
Good. And so I always call Phil a blood doctor. That's not his official title. He's a high performance panel coach. What do you call it?
Strength and conditioning coach.
Strength and conditioning coach.
Specialises in blood.
Who specialises
stool.
in blood and stool. There we go. So Phil is, I've worked with Phil since 2015. He's done my bloods since then. He has worked with me to get my markers up where we need them to be, to get my hemoglobins in the right place, basically to get my fitness right, to get me feeling good. And he got me to a place going into World's Strongest Man 2017 where at 196 kilo, obviously I'm not going to be the fittest, most healthiest guy in the world, but Phil got the best out of me at that body weight. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? So yeah, I worked with Phil for years. You know, I've put a lot of trust in Phil, and I told him I was doing this diet, and he, you know, so I've got to do the bloods. So we did bloods. Obviously, he's got all the previous bloods from years where I've done pretty much a diet of 70% healthy, 30% cheesecake, and so he's got all the historic of how my bloods looked over the years. And I've just done 3 months on the carnivore diet. Body fat, we've just gone back. Just got from the Dexa scan before my lunch. So when I started this, Phil, I was 167.9 kilo with around about 20% body fat. That's obviously done with the calipers,
Yeah.
not accurate. But and then the Dexa scan, which I've had done today, this morning, I'm 159 kilos, so I've lost 9 kilos.
Yeah.
And they had me, and this is accurate, obviously you can't get any more accurate than Dexa, 19.9% body fat. And my lean mass has gone up half a kilo.
Yeah.
So I'm 123 kilo lean mass. That means if I was 0% body fat, I would be 123 kilo, 270 pounds, pure muscle. But yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, well, it's a great improvement. I mean, having done body fat composition testing for years in professional sport, 19.9% at 159 kgs is a very, very rare specimen, trust me.
Yeah, well, for you Americans out there, that I am bang on 350 pounds in body weight at 19.9% body fat. So I'm happy with that. So Phil, enough about that. Brought you here today to analyse my bloods. You've done a full blood count. You've got blood panels for previous. I guess what I want to know is how it's impacted my health, how it's impacted my blood, my hormones, my gut, because we've done blood tests, did a very extensive blood test, and we did stool sample as well. So in 5 minutes or less, Phil, hit me up. What's this carnivore diet done to me?
Well, okay, so the big thing is that I'm seeing, and I said I always say I'm not going to just blame the carnivore diet, but in your case, what I am seeing is very high levels of triglycerides. And what's interesting this time is they're probably the highest that I've seen on you. Okay, so you know, so those are just a lot of blood fats within the bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that also can then correlate to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which I've also calculated using a few other markers as well, which most people have got that, but your levels are quite high because it's also related to your body mass index, your waist circumference, and then also triglycerides and something called GGT. So you've definitely got that. So triglyceride levels are literally off the chart. Also, the other big, your markers this time, the panel, to keep it really simple, is much more cardiovascular dominated, okay? So
it's hindered my cardiovascular.
Yeah, you're moving back towards sort of having cardiovascular issues. So I'm already starting to see plaque build up.
Okay,
by
that's
using,
not good.
Yeah, and you're also seeing the reason why that's occurring as well, because cholesterol only becomes problematic if there's a lot of LDL particles within the bloodstream, which is a bit like having lots of cars on the motorway, and they tend to then, there's more likelihood that they can crash into the barriers.
So is that cholesterol?
Yeah, so it's actually, LDL is where they deliver cholesterol around the body, okay? They're not necessarily bad, because we need cholesterol everywhere, okay? Every cell in the body can make cholesterol, but the LDL cholesterol, once it starts to become high in numbers, that is much more problem than the amount of cholesterol on each particle. So it's a bit like, you know, you could have 100 cars, you could have 100 people on the motorway, and you could have maybe just 10 cars, you got 10 in each car, that's not a problem. Or you got 100 cars. Yeah, that can become can get more traffic on the roads.
Yes, okay.
So there is markers then, as I said, which indicate that, and one of those markers is LPPLA2. And I've looked at your markers over years. Yeah, I've seen it really high when you were competing.
Yeah.
And I've also seen it really low when you were really eating much cleaner.
Yes.
Okay, and now it's starting to creep back up, and that's why. So I've looked at something called apolipoprotein B, and your levels are much higher than they've been in the past. So you've got lots of triglycerides in the bloodstream. You've got lots of LDL particle numbers in there as well, and they are now starting to cause some inflammation in the blood vessel walls. Okay, so it's very early, and it's 100% reversible.
So it's creating a bit of plaque.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
It's causing a bit of damage.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
and you can clean that out. And some of the big things that clean it out are things like vitamin K2, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin C is really good, and obviously then, you know, not putting so much traffic on the road as well.
Okay.
Not eating so much.
Okay.
And also which you've always had for a while, and your ferritin levels, which can also cause some damage to the blood vessels. And that's high in most men, but of course you eat obviously a high meat diet. There's going to be a lot of iron in there.
Very dense in red meat, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So I advise when people when that's high, I recommend personally to give blood on a regular basis.
How's the blood looking? Because I know you look at the shape, the size, the ability to carry oxygen.
Yeah, the red blood cells themselves are absolutely fine. There's no issues there. You make your red blood cells within the bone marrow.
Yeah.
The bone marrow then requires a cocktail of nutrients to do that. The white blood cells are made there as well. And I said the interesting thing then is that when we looked at the stool, your gut health has definitely deteriorated since last time. Okay, and I don't think that's coincidental.
Is that because there's not as much diversity with the diet, fruit and veg?
Yeah, and because they supply substances to certain what are known as commensal bacteria to produce short-chain fatty acids, which help to maintain the gut barrier wall. So I'm starting to see more inflammation in your sort of gut, especially in the large intestine. And I'm also seeing more sort of bile acid production, which is what you'd expect if you're eating a lot of meat, because you need the biles to emulsify fats as well. But in the gut barrier lining, there's a lot of activity going on with something known as the secretory immunoglobulin A and the beta defensins 2. And because they're reacting, and not just that might have just been coincidental, by the way, but I just don't think so.
Yeah, okay. So it's attacking my liver, it's attacking my gut.
It's just it's making your liver more. Your liver has definitely become more inflamed. But not just inflamed as well, but also a much higher level of fatty liver disease.
More at risk.
But really easy to reverse. The good thing was like all your hormones were really fine, apart from thyroid was starting to become a bit more diminished, so
which helps the metabolism and
that's it. So you're not making so much T3 tritethionine, T4 to T3 conversion. That can also be dependent on glucose, but as I said, you do make a certain amount of glucose anyway, but you're much easier. Why make it when you can eat it? I think it's served its purpose, and I think you're ready to just slowly introduce back these really beneficial types of disease preventing foods and gut microbiome sort of optimization foods.
Hormones?
I mean, testosterone was really good. Your estradiol levels had gone up slightly, but still well within the optimum ratios. Growth hormone levels were also still pretty good. Like from a hormonal perspective, because you can look at the bloods and the stool and you can see, can they build muscle, or are they so depleted in nutrients and hormones, no matter how hard they train, they are non-responders? And that's obviously, it's not the case with you.
In your opinion, it served a good purpose, but it's time to start incorporating good things back in the diet, fruits, vegetables, little bits of carbs.
That's it,
Get the diversity of the gut up, bring some health, bring some fibre, bring some nutrition back into the diet. And I kind of agree, and this is what I talked about this morning, is just think, for sustainability more than anything, because just eating meat and eggs and dairy is pretty boring. So putting a bit of fruit in, bit of vegetables. It just helps me, and now you're skinny, a bit of carbs, get that diversity of the gut up.
Yeah.
So it does help me a bit. Maybe I can incorporate that.
And one other thing on that as well is that once you're on this low carb diet, and this is something I missed out, as I said, I've written a book on the ketogenic diet, I didn't get this part, is that you become much more glucocorticoid dominant, meaning cortisol plays a much bigger part on breaking down tissues. Yeah, and that's what I missed. Yeah, and you don't want that.
Yeah, it's a stress, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's periods of time you can have it, but if it's constant, you end up becoming skinny fat, as I say, and that's what happens.
Like Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
Skinny fat. Right, well, thank you, Phil.
Yeah,
really appreciate you coming, mate. We did do, if you are interested, it's going to be bolted onto the end of this video, a much more in-depth talking about, you know, markers, what my percentages were. We really went in depth. It was about 50 minutes long. Just felt it didn't quite fit in the middle of this video. But Billy's going to put a timestamp on the video now if you want to go and check it out, or just wait till this video's over and watch the full consultation with Phil. It's going to be bolted on the end of this video. But in general, it's not done me too much damage. I'm pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And I feel great.
Yeah.
But in your opinion, I think if I stayed on this for a year or two, it's going to start having some adverse effects.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion.
And that's what I kind of, in my head, that's what I kind of thought anyway. You know, I've spoken to a lot of people, and people are around the world are absolutely thriving on this diet, and there are people that abide by it and eat nothing but meat and eggs and dairy, and it works for them. You know, and if you feel good, and if you, you're healthy, as long as you're checking your bloods and you're staying within the ranges, carry on.
Yeah.
I think if things start to go in the wrong direction, which I feel like they are a little bit, I think you've got to adjust, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So a little bit of fruit, a little bit of veg, and I'm going to start incorporating a little bit of carbs. You reckon carbs in the evening?
You can do a bit of both, but mainly in the evening. And as I said, the tip of the day, which you've been doing anyway, is to eat those carbs last in that meal.
Yes. Okay.
So that's also a big plan. And things like the gluten-free rice and grains are really good. And also, I love boiled potatoes because they are one of the highest foods in resistant starch. I couldn't advocate like 100% carnivore diet. Even with obese people, it would have to be definitely low carb. I've got no problem with that. But the nutrients from the plant, fruit and herb world are so beneficial to the human organism.
Make those changes, and we'll do bloods again in another 3 to 6 months, and we'll see where we're at. And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about little tweaks, little changes. What works for you, what doesn't work, and Right, it is time to go pick my son up from school, and then we're going to head to the gym. But a little snack before we head off. Thank you, Phil.
No worries, Ed.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Right, just about to head to school to pick Max up. Little snack. Sorry, I ruined it there, but Beast Biltong. So this is my own brand, because I was really struggling to find a good biltong. So the difference between biltong and jerky is covered in sugar, whereas biltong is not. Virtually no sugars in that, and 24 grams of protein in this tiny little bag of biltong. Love the dogs. Right, we're going to make a pre-workout shake before we go. So we're going to have a scoop of the stim, scoop of hydro, scoop of pump, and a scoop of creatine, because I like to have a double dose of creatine. Whoa. And in my opinion, these 4 things are the perfect pre-workout. Got the pump, which is like a non-stim, but it's got extra things in there that are going to help your muscles velocity and like really fill up and get that really tight pump. Stim is the same, although obviously it's got a stimulant in there, i.e. caffeine. Hydro has got the red night in there, which helps blood flow, which obviously gets your muscles more hydrated, gets more energy to your muscles. And then of course creatine is one of the most researched products on the market for size and strength, so I'd always recommend having creatine as well. So there's my pre-workout. During the session, I'm going to have 2 litres of water with 1 scoop of strawberry kiwi hydro, so I'm fully getting a load of electrolytes in. As I say, I just sweat that much during my training, and with being a big guy, you sweat a lot anyway, so it's always good to get as much hydro electrolytes in as you can. Let's get it. Brah! Bruh. Tell the audience how strong you are now, Max. What's your max deadlift?
130.
130, easy.
Yep.
Benching 70 kilo easy, reps.
Yep.
Squatting 100 kilo.
Easily. Now.
Easily. Right, training for me at the minute, obviously MMA training mainly, and arm wrestling training. So I've got to keep those two things in mind. So obviously for grappling and wrestling in general, side handle deadlifts, reduce risk of injury, but also keep everything powerful. And then anything to do with the back, so lats, rhomboids, and you can check this up yourself. The stronger your lats and rhomboids are, the harder you can punch, and also grip strength. So if your grip strength is through the roof, in general, you can punch harder. So that's basically be the emphasis of the session. So start with deadlifts. How? Just how the f has he put that shirt on backwards? How'd you manage that? Someone was in the usual deadlift spot, so I can't fit enough weights on. That'll do. Right, deadlifts, that's like the main compound done. Worked the grip pretty well. And now I'm going to do 2 exercises on lats, 2 exercises on rhomboids, and then just a little bit of biceps. So I've got an arm wrestling match in 2 days' time, so I need to be fresh for that. Sport mode activated, and I literally turn into Sonic. It's one of the best things with this diet, 100%, that my strength has just come back up to a standard where I'm not far off my prime. But I'm not going to say I'm as strong as I was in 2017, but I would say, if I would say I was 15% down, that's not a far stretch. 20 at most. And when you think of it, like, let's say in my prime, I could 220 kilo above my head, 15% down, so 10% would be 200, over 5%, 190, let's say it's 20, let's say 180, easily press 180 above my head. And this kind of thing, max would probably 6-7 plates aside, now I'm doing 5, and it just feels easy, it just feels strong. That's one thing I'll give this diet, feel strong. Okay, main function exercise is done. Again, that's like throwing power with deadlifts, lats and pulling, that's like the punching power. And I'll just superset something just to get blood through. So I'll probably just do like lat pull downs and face pulls. And again, that's just, if you notice, everything they're doing is like aggressive control, aggressive control. And that's exactly what fighting is. It's bang, control. So it's trying to train those fast twitch fibers all the time, just be as aggressive and as hard hitting as I can. Oh, look who it is. You had a good session?
So far, yeah.
So far. Filling out you are, lad.
Yep.
Have a look. Show the camera. Yeah, yeah. Looking good, man. Looking good. And we did Max's body weight. Was it last week or week before? 86 kilos. Pretty big, pretty big. Right, pullovers, face pulls, superset. Still Max when he slapped me in the balls with that towel. And make sure to wet the tip. Get it nice and juicy. There we go. Oh! What?
Free kick.
Free kick. Ah, that was crap. That was crap. You didn't even turn into it. Oh, that's crap. It's crap. Come on. Let me turn that foot. No, that was even crapper. All shin. Come on, turn that foot in. You're actually going to kick me hard. So ashamed. I'm going to hit you in the balls with this towel. Oh! That's exactly what it is, mate. Payback. Feeling juicy. It's juicy. Right, a little bit of biceps and Bob's your uncle. Biceps. Come on, train biceps with your little old dad. I think it's time for protein. 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 This is my second favourite flavour, strawberry cheesecake. So I'm going to do 1 scoop, 2 scoop. Oh, see that? Skills. Skills. No, you hold it. Yeah? That's it, and then we shake it together. Oh! Wait, I didn't look you in the eyes.
No, I can't.
Doesn't even count. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Get it in your mouth.
Banging.
How good is that?
Good.
That's good. Right, we're doing a bit of biceps. Okay, follow me. Keep in sync.
Yep. It's a bit gay.
10, both at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. That's 50, halfway. 1, 2, 3, 10, single. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. That's 100 reps on each arm. Done. That's all I need now, because I just want to get blood through my arm. Don't want to strain anything. Feel my bicep.
No.
Max, feel my bicep.
£10.
Feel. This sounds so wrong. I'm going to pay you £10 to feel my bicep. Right, I'm going to shoot off, mate. Leave you with Luke. That was a good one. Right, we are going to head home now. I'm going to get my dinner for the evening. I'm going to have, I feel like, a steak and eggs. I might heed a bit of Phil Richards' advice. I might put a little bit of carbs in there, just to spice it up. So maybe less steak, more carbs. I don't know. But I've got to start taking advice from Phil because he knows his stuff. So yeah, I'm going to try a little bit of carbs and just see how I feel. Try that for a couple of months, do my bloods again, see how I feel. So see you at home. Right, we're back. I'm taking Phil Richards' advice. I've got a potato here that weighs about 150 gram, thereabouts. Is that big enough?
Once you chopped it up, yeah, you're not blowing it out.
Obviously I wasn't going to put it in whole. So salt. I'm going to chop it up because there's no way you'd boil a potato that size in one go.
I mean, you could, but it would take a long time.
I mean, it's just common sense, James. Right, I'm going to have those, what's those potatoes in slices? Dauphinoise. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Dauphinoise potatoes. This is how you make dauphinoise potatoes. Cut them really thin. Yeah, cut them really thin. Right, you watching?
Yeah.
And then
Boil them.
And then you've done this before, you. And you put them in the pan.
Yeah.
And you boil them.
Yeah. And then you eat them. And then dump them on.
That's dauphinoise potatoes.
Okay. You don't add any other ingredients?
No.
No.
Why would you?
Because then it'd be a completely different recipe.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be dauphinoise. It'd be something else. Right, that's going to take exactly 15 minutes. So in that time, I'm going to get the other ingredients for my dinner, which is going to be steak and eggs. Well, that's not boiled crisps. What are you on about? It's not boiled crisps. Do you think I should put them in the air fryer?
You'd have to dry them off now.
And put a bit of butter on them. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in the air fryer. So they've had a preheat.
They've warmed them up.
This is how you do dauphinoise potatoes. You preheat them in the boiled pan, right?
For 10 seconds.
10 seconds. And then what you do is you get a big blob of butter, put that in, and then you put them in this. Come here, let me show you this. This is magical. So you just put them in this drawer like that. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's it. And then you put it in. You press on. Press 1, and then you put. There's not a picture of potatoes. What's the closest thing? There's a picture of fries. So I'm going to press the fries button and then press play.
Is there no dauphinoise setting there?
No, I think fries is kind of what like dauphinoise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just thinner, like thin dauphinoise, whereas mine are more spread out thin. All right, and then we're going to do child locks. Fry my steak in butter, because that's what we do. Another half a kilo steak there, it's got a bit of salt on it, it's soaking that salt up. I'll tell you what else is amazing, is that I used this pan earlier, right, and this spatula, and I just left them on the side, and then that just appears back in the pan cupboard, clean, and this appears back in the spatula cupboard, clean. And honestly, I'll cook my dinner now and just leave it there like that, and tomorrow it'll be back in there. It's literally one of the best houses there is. It's just amazing, it just cleans itself.
Did your washing basket do the same?
Yeah. I say I'm not having vegetables with my dinner, but technically, I mean, do these class as vegetables? Beetroot and gherkins?
No.
It does.
Is it?
Yeah, I would say so. This one likes steak. High five. Right, the dauphinoise potatoes. Look at them. Hey? Get them bad boys. This is literally the first time I've had carbs. But saying that tell a lie, I did a video of Rico Verhoeven last week and did a diet swap with him. So I had carbs last week. I had rice and an apple strudel sandwich. It's like an apple jam sandwich. It's really weird, but really nice. I did have carbs this week, and I didn't feel too bad at all. It didn't like affect me in any way badly. Right. Just about to get stuck into my steak and dauphinoise, and then two little babies attack me. This one wants steak, and this one wants cuddles. Hello, darling. You okay? Hey? You've been sleeping all day, haven't you? This is the latest addition to the family. She is 8 weeks old. Now remember that next time you have your tea. Just before you have that first mouthful. It's coming. I'm going to sneeze all over your food. This one absolutely loves ribeye steak. It's nice, isn't it? It's nice, steak, nice. If I can't manage all my food, usually I give it the dog. No, I'll just give it this one. So for this meal, 1,592 calories and 114 grams of protein. I've got some snacks that I'm going to have tonight, so I'll talk about them straight after, and then we'll talk about the total, how many calories I'm having a day. Don't sneeze on my food. And then talk about the adjustments I'm going to make going forward, taking on Phil Richards' advice. Wow, you done?
Yeah.
Well, bugger. The second there's no steak on the plate, doesn't want to sit on my lap anymore. A little bugger. I'm trying to take some of Phil Richards' advice and eat the carbs last. I've always done that since I was a young boy. Never forget, I was super young. I mean, my nan said to me, you are what you eat, and you always eat the most of what you eat first. So, for instance, if you've got meat, veg, and dessert, you want to eat the meat first, because that's what you're going to digest first. Then you want to eat the veg, because that's secondary to the meat. And then the dessert, always have that last. Always have the sugar last. And that way you're still, you know, so you're going to get that flavour, you're going to taste it, but your body's not going to absorb it as much as it would the red meat. Okay, evening meal done. I'll probably jump in the spa now, do a little bit of hot cold, but I'm going to let the camera on go. So snacks tonight, I'll have two snacks. One will be a protein shake, the other will be yogurt, and both will have with protein. I'll go grab them. Calorie and protein breakdown, so with the yogurt and 2 scoops. That's 418 calories and 226 for the scoops. That's 41 gram of protein for the yogurt and 42 gram of protein for the scoops. Milk is 42 gram protein with the scoops. I think it's 18 gram on its own, so that's 60 gram of protein with the scoops total. And then the bone broth is 81 calories and 14 gram of protein. So with just the snacks, so bear in mind I've just eaten 1,592 calories with the steak and everything. Snacks comes in at 1,326 calories and 157 gram protein. So the total calories for the day is 7,904 calories and 727 gram of protein, which is pretty much bang on where I need to be. So I have 350 pounds, it's 2 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So that's pretty much bang on. That is just over 700, which is perfect. Calorie wise, again, I'm not fussed about the calories because the diet's proven to me. You know, I've eaten as much as I wanted, literally to the point I'm full every single meal. I'm having snacks, and I'm still like, I've lost weight, I've put muscle mass on, so I'm not bothered about the calorie intake. But 7,900 calories, it sounds about right for a 160 kilo guy or 350 pound man. So I'm quite happy with that. So that's it's a good day of eating. Good day of eating. So I'll have these snacks in a bit. That'll be my nighttime drink, and then for sleep, we've got Big Z, we've got the powder form or the tablet form. Now I prefer the tablet form, although I do sometimes have the shake. 3 of these tablets. Levagen at 600 milligram is proven to reduce inflammation and improve deep sleep. Perfect blend of magnesium, zinc, and then it's got Afron in there, which is like a calming element as well. So this, if you were to buy all these ingredients singularly, it would be very expensive. I've got it all in one product for a good price. And don't forget guys, it's Black Friday sale. Started yesterday until Tuesday coming. If you're watching this video in the near future, then it's basically going from the 26th of November to I think like the 3rd of December, something like that. So Black Friday sale, we've got at least 20% off. And if you go and find a Team Beast member affiliate, use their code and you get an additional 10% off as well. So we've got some cracking sales on the site. And this, I'm telling you now guys, the reviews on this for sleep are absolutely insane. Of all the products I do, Big D is right up there. Big love, of course, for libido. Protein's great. But the Big Z, in my opinion, is my favorite product because it just helps me get a good night's sleep. And sleep's the key to everything. Sleep's the key to happiness, to health, to energy. Can't rave about it enough, and the reviews are absolutely insane. So if you're gonna ask you to buy one product today from me, it's gonna be Big Z, the best night's sleep you're ever gonna have. Right then guys, that wraps up day. All really interesting. I think the Dexa scan was quite surprising for me, 19.9% body fat, I was quite happy with that. The diet itself for me has worked really well. I've lost fat, I've put muscle mass on, my energy levels feel good, my sleep feels good, I look good, I feel good, my skin's good, blood work is good, but it's just like the lean in the wrong direction, so we're going to make some tweaks, and so the carnivore diet is officially over, and we're going to start doing implementing a little bit of fruits, a little bit of vegetables, and a little bits of carbs. But it's definitely taught me to reduce everything. It's taught me to reduce everything massively, so it's put me in a very good direction, a very happy place. I've got my like a good, healthy, happy relationship with food again. Like, I'm enjoying my food, I'm eating till I'm full, and I'm, it's not making me turn into a fat basically. Any one of you wants to see the full length consultation with Phil Richards, we're going to bolt it on to the end of this video now. So continue watching if you want to see that. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link in description for any Beast Farm products you want to try out. And don't forget it's Black Friday sale, and yeah, being awesome people. Big love the Beast. Take care. Right, Mr. Phil Richards is here. Now, I got told off last time for calling you a blood doctor. You're a high performance coach.
High performance coach who specialises in lab testing.
Lab testing,
yeah.
So it's not an actual doctor, that's me being an idiot calling you a doctor. So you're a doctor in my eyes. And that's all that matters for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So Phil has actually done my bloods since 2015.
Yeah.
And we worked together on my journey to become the world's strongest man, and Phil changed my life. going into World's Strongest Man 2017. Bear in mind, it was 196 kilo, and with all the tweaks and advice from Phil, I went in feeling pretty good. You know, I was the biggest, heaviest man on the planet. Obviously, I'm not going to be the fittest, but for my size, I was fit, and felt good. And I think that's the most important thing. If you feel good, you perform good, and that's what Phil is good at, making you feel good, which is one of the most important things. So Phil, fill you in quickly. I've done 3 months on the carnivore diet. Here's the Dexa scan we've just done. So results from Dexa scan. So day 1 was done on calipers, fat calipers, which we know aren't 100% accurate. But he had me at 27% body fat, as you say, give or take 1 or 2%. It was 167.9 kilo with a lean mass of 122.4. Fast forward 12 weeks, I am 9 kilo down. Is that right? Yeah. I'm 9 kilo lighter, and I've dropped 7% body fat. I'll just say that's hit and miss, but at least this one's accurate.
Yeah.
So the Dexa got me as 19.9% body fat, and my lean mass has gone up half a kilo, so I'm 122.9 kilo lean mass. So if I were to be 0% body fat, I would still have 123 kilo of muscle, which is what, 20 stone? It's like 270 pounds.
Yeah.
Pure muscle. Pure muscle. That's 0% body fat. So Phil, I mean, what do you think of the Dexa scan to start?
Well, the Dexa scan, is accurate. Body fat calipers, depending on the person taking it, and with someone your size, it's really hard to get an accurate measurement. But
I'm aware.
I know the guy who did your body fat, and he was well trained on calipers, so at least there won't be a huge differentiation change. So that's.
So I guess my question to you today, because we've done my bloods for years, and I've been on the same diet pretty much for years.
Yeah.
It's been pretty much 70% clean eating, 30% cheesecake. So that's pretty much been my diet since I was 14 years old. And it's only really, this is the first diet I've really done. This is the first proper diet where I've been like, right, I want to lose fat, get fit, feel better. And in my opinion, I feel great. Like my mood is better, I'm sleeping better, my strength's gone through the roof, my body fat's dropped, I look good, my skin looks healthy. But I'm well aware of in my opinion as well, everyone's got a different opinion on things, but I think the carnivore diet hasn't got much of a longevity for me. And sustainability, because I like my fruit and veg. And I feel like they are important factors for staying healthy and longevity in life. So how does this, you've done my bloods for years, you know where I've been at, what's my blood looking at right now?
Well, the interesting thing, we've done your bloods and your stool, because the stool will give us an enormous amount of information on, is that diet serving you well, or is it like short-term gain, long-term pain? And from looking at, apart from just before you won World's Strongest Man, when I did your bloods, where you were eating a huge amount of food, that's probably the worst I've seen, especially the stool. Like there was a huge amount of inflammation there. Okay, so that's starting to creep back in now, where it had gone previously. Okay?
Right. Okay. And so my gut's got worse.
Your gut, compared to last time, is worse, but it's not like what I would class as like a code red. I would say, look, it's starting to move somewhere where you don't want it to move. The gut microbiome has a very different dietary need to the human part of us. They thrive on like resistant starch, things like potato, green bananas. They love polyphenols, like from the fruit world. They love sort of fermented foods. It's a very different sort of dietary need for them compared to the human part, which absolutely needs animal proteins. So that's why we're an omnivore. So I'm not anti-carnivore, I'm not anti-keto. I've written a book on ketogenic diet, so I kind of understand the whole sort of science behind it. But I've also written courses on nutritional immunology and brain health, etc. What I discovered, everything from the plant, fruit and herb world, well, not everything, but a significant number of these substances there have a huge protective factor for a multitude of diseases. And I don't really find that from the animal world. The animal world foods turn on growth, which is great if you want to be world's strongest man and you want to put muscle on, which is crucial. And what I find with the plant and the fruit and the herbs, there are certain substances there that really does protect the body from going into a disease state. So I can see some improvements in some areas, and then some areas where you're starting to go down a rocky path.
Okay, well, hit me with the improvements first.
Yeah. Okay, so I think what we do first, how I normally do, as you know, I look at your red blood cells, okay?
Yeah.
So I look at the health of the red blood cells, the size of them, how much hemoglobin they carry, and the amount of oxygen they carry. What is the viscosity of the blood? So again, I know it's a joking aside, your RBC hemoglobin hematocrit is high. And one of the primary reasons for that in your case, you are still genuinely very dehydrated, okay? So there's a marker on you, okay?
No, it's not possible.
Yeah, there's a marker on you.
It's not possible. I have my new product, Hydro. It's impossible.
Yeah, so there's a marker there called albumin, okay? Or albumin, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Okay.
And that is only elevated. Now, it's one of the very few markers, when it's high, there's only really one sort of clinical manifestation on why that is the case. On others, it could be 15, 20. In our albumin's case, it's dehydration. And the number, when it gets over 50, you're starting to get into really sort of tricky territory from a dehydration. You're 51.10, so you're starting to get much more dehydrated, okay? So,
Okay, I mean, the blood test was done first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's the worst time for dehydration.
Yeah, but if you weren't, because there's levels of dehydration, okay? There's sort of mild dehydration and there's severe, so it wouldn't have made much difference really from my analysis.
Okay, so you talk about the red blood cells, the size, the shape, the capacity to carry oxygen.
Yeah.
How's that looking?
Yeah, that's good. So there's a marker called MCV, mean corpuscular value. So that can indicate whether you got B12 deficiencies, folate deficiencies, copper, vitamin C, B6, and iron. And they look really good. So if I come down the chart, now what's really interesting though, once you're on a high meat diet, because the reason why I bring that up is your homocysteine, which is also linked to B6, B12 and folate, and I'll explain what homocysteine is in a second, is much higher than it's ever been.
Is that good?
No, it's not, yeah. So I've seen a change in the cardiovascular, sort of your blood work from a cardiovascular perspective than I've seen previously. Okay, so this will all start to make a lot more sense. But the size of your red blood cells are fine. Okay. The amount of hemoglobin and the oxygen you carry, and that's a big thing. A lot of people today are really tired because they make really poor blood. They don't carry enough oxygen. They got chronic nutrient deficiencies. The mitochondria doesn't receive the oxygen it needs to make energy. We're okay in that.
Good.
Okay, so as we start, there's other markers then which are related to the red blood cells. So if I look now, this is where it starts getting interesting. If I start looking at your blood vessel walls, okay, so you got around 60,000 miles of blood vessel walls from my research. And this time, if we look at the LPPLA2, which is lipoprotein phospholipase A2, now it's gone, like before, I know we didn't do it last time, but I've looked back through all, you'll see it further down. I've looked back, I mean, we've got that down to 152, I think, where your blood vessels were really healthy.
Okay.
Now, what that marker indicates, is that...
So I'm just over the safe
side. Yeah, you're just over, So it's just an early sign. So
optimal's 0 to 200.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Standard is 200 to 250, not 206.
Yeah.
So not far off optimal.
Yeah, but previously you've been down at 152, so we can start to see some...
It's creeping.
And one of the biggest markers which are indicating that, because what happens is that marker is in relationship to something known as macrophages, which are white blood cells, which are going into the endothelium, the blood vessel walls, mopping up oxidized cholesterol, okay? And they're trying to clear it out. But if they become overwhelmed, then you're going to start to see this marker going up, and it's an indication that you're starting to accumulate plaque. Okay.
So the vessels are getting
there's more cholesterol coming there,
Okay.
And other particles.
Which is not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing, no. Now, the marker that sort of really indicates that more this time as well is something called apolipoprotein B, which will get into your cholesterol in a second. Now, apolipoprotein B, which your levels are really, really high, okay, just to indicate, if we look here, it's about 443% above what they should be, okay? So you can see, so if you look in even this marker with all the percentages deviation, it's all cardiovascular, okay?
Yeah.
So very high triglycerides, lots of blood fats in the bloodstream, We'll talk about creatine kinase is irrelevant because it's to do with your training. Your ferritin levels are still really high, your iron levels. That also causes endothelium damage as well, okay?
What's high? Because
you actually, the optimum range is 30 to 70. Don't even look at the standard range, because the standard range is so distorted. Yeah. It's not even worth looking at.
So optimum 30 to 70, what am I?
Yeah, you're 324.
No, so I need to give blood.
Yeah, and I've written a whole course on something called nutritional cardiology. Anything over 200 is causing damage within the blood vessel walls. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of iron in red meat.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of iron, and there's a huge amount of methionine, which is the homocysteine, which we're going to get onto in a second. Yeah. Okay. So it's not like these are bad. It just shows you.
Yeah, but it's not optimal. So
it's not optimal.
I need to go give a litre of blood, basically.
Yeah, a pint would be fine if I'm honest. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, so if I come back, because all this will start, this jigsaw puzzle will come together now. Okay, so also then, so your blood vessel walls are starting to plaque. So the other thing also on the blood vessel walls, there is a marker. This is a bit better. Okay, so there's good and there's bad. So ESR, which is erythrocyte, which is red blood cell sedimentation rate, that last time, but the only difference between this and last time is that you'd eaten food. Okay, so that's not really giving me one. But what this is doing, the ESR is telling me, if we look at the 10 there, so you're well within the optimum range, that at least the red blood cells are not sticking together. So it's a big inflammatory
so less sticky blood, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's much less sticky. And also your fibrinogen has come down as well, which acts as a clotting factor as well. But it can also be a sign of inflammation in the blood as well.
Okay, so so this is so the plaque's gone up.
Yeah.
But my blood has gone less sticky. So it's sort of like two opposites there.
Yeah, exactly. But you'd rather, if I'm honest with you, you'd rather neither. The most important marker here, if I'm honest with you, because ESR and fibrinogen can change with inflammation.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Phil, is so my ESR was bad last time.
Yeah.
Okay, but my plaque was good.
Yeah.
So what's happened is my plaque's gone bad.
Yeah.
And my ESR's gone good.
Yeah. You'd rather it the other way.
Really? So you'd rather the plaque be good and the ESR be bad?
Yeah, and not necessarily bad, but even if it's a little bit over. Because ESR is an inflammation marker. It's also an acute phase reactant, so it can fluctuate. Yeah, where the LPPLA2 is not an acute phase reactant. What that means is
LP?
It's lipoprotein. Yeah, so it's lipoprotein phospholipase A2. So it's a marker of blood vessel wall accumulation of the plaque. Now that doesn't change whether you're very inflamed or not. It's a marker that is telling you exactly, because you've got some markers which are known as acute phase reactant. If you did 10 sets of 10 squats now, heavy, your creatine kinase levels, your ferritin levels, they go up, okay? Yeah, so even ALT will go up as well, certain liver markers, AST, and you also get negative acute markers. Albumin is one of them, in fact, but LPPLA2 is not neither. So if it's there, it's in there. Nothing's really changing. So that's sort of, that's definitely telling us that there's a little bit of change going on there. And I'll explain why that's happening in a second. And sorry, there's another marker then called high sensitivity C-reactive protein, and your levels, so that's good as well. So high sensitivity C-reactive protein is also a marker of inflammation along with C-reactive protein. So that's good. Inflammation, so like you were saying that the inflammation you were starting to feel less inflamed, yeah?
100%.
Yeah,
nowhere near as sore. I was able to train hard and the next day feel like I haven't trained. Yeah. I've never really had that before.
Well, I think a lot of problems as well, once you combine like a carbohydrate and protein in a meal, right, you get a lot of inhibition of stomach acid. So when you eat a meal, so for example, if it's say steak, rice and vegetables, and this is scientifically validated by the way, if you eat the steak first, and the vegetables.
I'm a big believer in this.
Yeah, and then I leave at least 5 minutes,
So I'm a big believer in this, right? So when I was a young boy, my nan said, always eat the good stuff first. So I'd always eat my meat first, then I'd eat my vegetables, and I always eat the nice stuff last, i.e. the chips, the mash.
Exactly.
And that's served me well for life.
Yeah, well, it really does. It has a much better effect on hydrochloric acid production. And then what the HCl does, when it's at a certain level, it's also signaling the pancreas to release enzymes further down the intestinal tract in the small intestine. So if you mash all that together, you get much less HCl production, you get poorer pancreatic enzyme production, and that's when you get all the bloating and all that,
So my nan was right.
Oh, she was bang on, absolutely. So inflammation in the blood vessels is fine, so it's just the plaque. Yeah, it's the plaque buildup. So, okay, so as we start coming down the list then, again, the interesting thing on your immune system this time as well, it looked like you've got elevated neutrophils, you've got very low lymphocytes, your eosinophils, which are always high, which are more reactive to food sensitivities. It can also be to intestinal parasites, but you haven't got any because we've looked at your stool, which we'll go through shortly. Your basophils seem to be much higher this time as well, which are more sort of reactive to sort of food allergens or also allergens in the air and stuff like that. So it's an inflammatory response.
That's less.
That's gone up, okay?
That's gone up?
Yeah, so the basophils have gone up. And also, what you've got this time is something called the neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio, and your levels this time is really quite high, okay? And that indicates, which you'll see on the report, what would be classed they would class it as a chronic viral infection. But the immune system's fluctuating. But the interesting thing with this is, the immune system in your gut, where 70% of the immune system resides, is a lot worse this time than it's ever been. Okay, so
But I will say this.
Yeah.
So other than I lost my voice near the start, which was quite bad, but I have not been ill on this diet, not once.
yeah. Well, the body's fighting like hell, which you'll see in a second, okay? So, so the immune system is definitely taking a hit, but that can happen. So I'm not going to blame the carnivore diet for that. That can happen, that can fluctuate. I mean, I've looked at thousands of bloods, whether you're on a carnivore diet or not, the immune system is like a roller coaster, okay? So I'm not going to blame that. But it is interesting when I look at the stool, which you look at now, that does seem to be definitely a lot more agitated. When you look at your all your blood sugar markers this time, so things like your fasting glucose, your hemoglobin A1C, that's come down quite a bit, which is what you'd expect because you weren't consuming. Hemoglobin A1C is a diabetic marker. It's a marker of glucose on the hemoglobin molecule of the red blood cells. It's classed, like if it gets over 6, I believe in the UK, or 6.5, I think it's 6, it would be classed as type 2 diabetic, okay? And your levels are much lower than what they were previously because you're not consuming glucose.
Yeah.
But the markers which are even better on an accurate marker are things like your C-peptide. So C-peptide is part of the insulin chain. It's more accurate than insulin, fasting insulin, to read it because it's in the bloodstream for a lot longer. Okay, and your levels are absolutely brilliant. So that's the good thing on things like the carnivore diet. I like carnivore diet, keto diet for people who've got what is called some metabolic syndrome where they're carrying a lot of body fat, they're not doing well, then for a period of time absolutely switch them over and then very slowly bring in some really healthy sort of like fibrous type vegetables.
Well, that's literally what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's it,
But I was a fat shit 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And then now I'm bringing in fruit veg. So I'm doing exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, so, so that's good, that's improved.
Okay. So
and I tell you what, right, so this is where it gets the fun part now, okay? Cholesterol levels, which are always fairly high with you anyway, but the interesting thing, cholesterol doesn't tell the true picture of cardiovascular disease.
there you go. So the amount of people, because I eat so many eggs, and the amount of people like, your cholesterol's going to be through the roof. Right, let's hear it from the horse's mouth right now.
Yeah.
What's my cholesterol looking like?
Well, the interesting thing with cholesterol, it is through the roof, but there is a number of reasons why that can occur, okay? And then I'm going to explain the correlation with cholesterol and the potentiation of cardiovascular disease, because there's other markers which are way more relevant than total cholesterol. That's all total cholesterol is the summation of HDL cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and I believe it's triglycerides as well, and that's it. So it's just a number, okay? But the number doesn't really tell you a lot, and even the world's leading lipidologists will tell you this. What will tell you more is not, so if you look at the LDL cholesterol, for example, the so-called bad cholesterol, which is misinformation, because cholesterol is cholesterol, whether it's on HDL or LDL. LDL cholesterol is simply the vehicle that transports cholesterol out into the periphery to offload cholesterol and other fat-soluble nutrients. This is where it gets interesting, okay? That's all LDL cholesterol is measuring the amount of cholesterol in a certain volume of blood. That is not really that important. What is important is something called apolipoprotein B, okay? And what apolipoprotein B does, and you can see it's gone up quite a bit this time, and it is really high, that tells me that you have a significant number of LDL particles in the bloodstream. That is much more accurate on looking at the potentiation of cardio, and that's why your LPPLA2 has gone up as well. So if you think about it, if there's a shitload of cars on the road, loads and loads, there's a strong chance there's going to be a couple of crashes into the barriers, Now the barriers this time is your blood vessel walls, the endothelium. they start accumulating. There's so much opportunity that they end up crashing into these barriers. They get in there, and that's where the macrophages start to come along. They're trying to clear them up. And doing so, if there's too many of these particles in the endothelium, these macrophages can become foam cells, and that's when you're going to start to get this plaquing starting to accumulate. So there's a couple of stages of what is known as atherosclerosis, which is narrowing of the blood vessels. That is one of your biggest predictors. There's a number of predictors of cardiovascular. Now, the other thing that's really interesting as well, whilst we sort of come in up just down to this marker, and you'll see the homocysteine levels, yeah? Homocysteine also causes blood vessel wall damage, okay, if it's too high. Now, homocysteine is a metabolite of methionine, which is found in significant amounts in meat, okay? That's not a bad thing. The interesting thing is with methionine can be converted into glutathione and also something called SAMe if it's at an optimum level. When it's too high, because it's usually metabolized via B6, B12 and folate. Now your levels are fine on that. The problem was you were eating so much meat, the methionine. So I would say to somebody on the carnivore, just make sure you really keep an eye also on your homocysteine levels. Yeah. And there's some great methylating products like trimethylglycine, methylated folate, methylcobalamin. They will have a significant effect on optimizing that, because the homocysteine is also a marker of methylation, and that is involved in literally billions of metabolic sort of processes that take place within the body. So that is another indication that that's gone up, yeah. So again, not attacking the carnivore, just be smart, yeah. And if you think about it, if you were on the carnivore diet full time and you didn't supplement, I think this would be a lot worse. Yeah. You know, imagine your vitamin C levels.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been carried on with my supplements. Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, then. So as we come, you've also got very high levels of triglycerides. So you have definitely got what would be classed as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Okay. So, and it's much more prevalent than what it's been previously. Okay. So and again, and it's not really. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is not really calculated on, believe it or not, your liver enzymes. It's more to do with your triglycerides, your waist size, your body mass index is a big one, and then also something known as GGT, which is gamma glutamyltransferase, which we'll look at in a second. So I've calculated what you were, and you were right in the red zone on that, yeah? You know, and the liver needs a lot of nutrients from both the animal world and the plant world to function optimally on the detoxification pathways. So there's different phases in there. Okay, so triglycerides are super high, and as we come further down then, we start looking at your liver. Okay, so we're right on that now. So we look at this time.
So this is a big one. So Sean Baker, who wrote the book on the carnivore diet, I can't remember the conversation exactly, but he said to me, your liver markers will go through the roof, but there is a good reason for it, and it's not to worry. What's your opinion?
I kind of, the calculation on this, when the liver markers go high, so the primary liver marker, if I'm honest with you, is ALT. That's the higher it goes. The reason why it's going high is because there's inflammation in the liver. Okay, so you know, if there's no reason to worry over that, then I've sort of missed that sort of research. You know, and yours is probably the second highest I've seen in 10 years at the moment. But like, it's not like, am I shitting myself over it? No, I'm not. It's just, it's telling you, look, all is not quite well. And as I said, when you do the calculation, as I said, of your triglycerides, your body mass index, your waist circumference, and this marker, then GGT, which has actually come down, by the way, but it's still, the optimum level isn't 30, it's around 21 from my blood chemistry research. But that's still good. But you still would be classed as quite a severe, I wouldn't say severe, that's a strong word, of like early stage non-alcohol, which what most people have got anyway, if I'm honest with you. But that's why I'm so big, as I said, in providing the liver also with a cascade of nutrients from the plant world as well to clear it as well. It's too much saturated fat. Yeah, but it can also be too much.
Carnivore is. It's fats and proteins.
Yeah, and you can get it also through too much sugar, too much glucose. In this case, there's a change. So GGT has come down a bit. It's still well within the optimum range, but I said it should be around 2024. I think from my latest blood chemistry research. And that's good. That's come down. And that's a marker of sort of toxicity levels. glutathione levels as well, and it can also indicate sort of inflammation in the what is known as the biliary tree. So that's a bit of an improvement there. And then we look at total protein then. So total protein on a blood chemistry is not the amount of protein you're eating, it's really the summation of albumin and globulin. Okay, and I said albumin is really a carrier. It carries testosterone, it carries calcium. It's also a buffer in the bloodstream. And then so when it's elevated, it does indicate, joking aside, dehydration.
And that's looking good, isn't it?
So you're up to 51 in that, okay? So that is the sign, as I said, that you are dehydrated. And also globulin is good. So
the globulin's good.
Yeah, and the globulin is more indication on a number of things, but when it's high, it can indicate like sort of poor stomach acid, etc. Not seeing that. Or when it's low, it usually, I'm surprised it's not higher really, because it can indicate also digestive inflammation, and you have got a shitload of that.
Okay.
So we'll skip past that one. Bilirubin, okay. I tell you what I have seen, or I think in credit to the carnivore diet on this, is much lower oxidative stress. So there's 3 markers on here which can indicate, and oxidative stress is meaning really that there's not enough antioxidant in the system to sort of eradicate what is known as free radicals. Okay, free radicals is a bit like terrorists going around the system and just causing chaos. Antioxidants like bouncers, putting them into order. Now, when I looked at your bloods last time, so there's 3 markers which indicate that GGT is 1. Your levels were much higher last time, so much lower this time.
Yeah.
Then there's also bilirubin is another one which can also act as an antioxidant. Your levels are much lower this time. And the other third one, so there's 3 main markers on a blood chemistry which can indicate oxidative stress. And the other one is uric acid. And unbelievable, your uric acid levels, which would be class, it's come down a lot. So that tells me your oxidative damage has come down as well, which is really good. And you would expect uric acid to go up quite high on a high meat diet. But also what can also shift uric acid up as well is lots of the fruit juices, which you were consuming last time.
Not a shitload,
but the cranberry juices
enough,
and all that. So that's an improvement there. Okay, so gallbladder's working fine, your emulsifier fats, all your electrolytes are really good, sodium, potassium and chloride.
That's the hydro. So,
Yeah, and also calcium and magnesium. Okay, so your calcium, if you look here, you'll see your calcium levels have gone up, okay?
Yeah, I'm drinking a lot more milk and yogurt. And
I wouldn't do that, okay? Yeah, well, you're not now. And
I've cut it down a bit, actually, since doing the fruit and veg.
Yeah, well, the only reason your calcium has gone up, really, if I'm honest with you, is because your albumin has gone up. Albumin carries calcium. Okay, so if that's high, then you normally see calcium. Calcium and phosphorus are controlled by something called the parathyroid gland. It's very hard for that to become non-functional, even though it can. Okay, so your creatine kinase, magnesium, in fact. So magnesium, as you know, it's exactly the same as last time. It's a real tough mineral to keep up. It's something you have to take at least 3 times a day, in my opinion, which is what I do with my clients.
Yeah, it's in my hydro drink.
Yeah, and also
having that all day, every day.
Yeah, you need at least what is known as elemental magnesium, which is the amount you can absorb. So if you look at the magnesium in your drink, right, it should say the total, and then I'll say the elemental, which means the amount you absorb.
Okay.
From the world's leading expert in that field, it's around 600 milligrams you need, and obviously you're a lot bigger than me, so and magnesium is so crucial for insulin to function on the insulin receptor, okay, as well as a trillion other things that magnesium's all do. Okay, creatine kinase. So this last time, your creatine kinase, which is a muscle cell damage marker, but it can also be a marker also of cardiovascular damage as well, but that's not the case, because I can see other markers there which is not indicating you've got, like, you've had a myocardial infarction or something like that. But you're definitely training harder last time than what you were this time. Your body was breaking down a lot more muscle tissue, and sometimes also you get used to what you're doing. Even though you're training hard, the body's super smart, it's always adapting. So that's that, but that still tells me that you're training with a lot of intensity. So a lot of people I see say, oh yeah, I train 6 times a week. And then you look at that mark and you say, well, you may be training 6 times a week, but you're not doing fuck all.
Walking 6 times a week.
That's it. You visit a facility with equipment in, and you take up the space. Okay, so right, lipase. So we're going to go into your pancreas and say amylase and lipase are good. Your pancreas, from an enzyme perspective, is awesome. And I'll tell you why that's so important shortly, okay? This is why you did so well also on a carnivore diet. Because a lot of people won't do well on a carnivore diet if they've got Helicobacter pylori, which is very common. Yeah, I see it all the time. They produce much less stomach acid, so they can't break down the protein. They don't get the signaling then to the pancreas to release all the enzymes. Also is involved in sort of protein digestion as well as fat digestion. And then food just sits there and it causes a lot of putrefaction. You haven't got that. That's why you did good as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you got a real strong digestive. You're producing plenty of stomach acid. You haven't got Helicobacter, and your pancreas is like a fucking elephant. Honest, it's one of the highest readings I've seen on a. So that means it's releasing a lot of enzymes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. So also then. Lactic dehydrogenase is a bit like creatine kinase. When it's high, there can be other reasons. In your case, it's muscle tissue breakdown.
Yeah.
It's an enzyme that's found in every tissue, every cell of the body. Okay, so we've gone into the CRP. Now, what has which is still pretty high on this, in fact. So you can see the anion gap, which is sort of related, and your sort of, it says CO2 there, but it's bicarbonate. Those markers there are an indication, like the lower the CO2, the more acidic you are. Okay, which is what you'd expect on a high meat diet, yeah, because the alkaline foods are not coming into the system. Okay, so the body will pull nutrients out of bones, things like calcium, to help to buffer as well. They use magnesium and also use albumin. So you're a lot more acidic this time than what you were last time. And enzymes need to function in an optimum pH level. So you'll find as you start, like I would advise someone if they were on a carnivore diet, what I would also do as well is probably like every morning on an empty stomach, take like 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate with some lemon juice.
Yeah.
Keep the system really alkaline.
I've been doing that.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Was Sean Baker actually.
Yeah, right,
said
okay.
to do that.
Yeah, well done, Sean. Okay, so I mean, it's one of the products I developed. My first product I ever developed was a sodium bicarbonate drink with potassium, calcium, and magnesium bicarb. And it's just, I just saw phenomenal results of that with lots of people. Okay, thyroid. The interesting thing on the thyroid, right? The thyroid can take quite a significant hit on a low carb diet. Okay, so to convert T4 into T3, there's a number of things you need in place, like magnesium and selenium. I do believe as well, I think it's glucose or insulin that's involved in also T4 to T3 conversion, which means going from inactive to active. Okay, so T3 is like, it really is the driver of metabolism, no doubt about it. And you can see this time, you're much lower in, like your thyroid stimulating hormone is fine. So the message to the thyroid is absolutely fine. What you're doing this time, you got much lower levels of T4 and also much lower levels of T3. So is it clinically low? No, but it's definitely reduced, which is what you'll find on a on a very low carb diet. But like I've said to you previously, the interesting thing, when you don't consume carbs, you can make your own carbs, but there is a cost. Yeah, and the cost is really, you're robbing from Peter to give to Paul. You're breaking down other tissues. There's 5 different metabolic pathways in the body that is involved in what is known as gluconeogenesis, the production of new glucose. And one of the main pathways as well is that you have a much higher levels of what are known as glucocorticoids, and cortisol has been one of those, okay? You become a bit more, that's why it's quite hard long-term on a truly carnivore diet to put.
So I'm trying to understand that. So your body is stealing nutrients from other places to create carbs.
And it can also use different metabolic pathways. So it can break down muscle.
Yeah. Okay.
It can also use amino acids.
Right.
Yeah. It can also break down fat, so it can use the glycerol in fat as well. There's something known as the Cori cycle, where I believe it can convert pyruvate into lactic, but it's one of those, it's either way. And there's one more cycle as well, which I forget what that is, but there's 5 different pathways. Now that's fine, because we've evolved in periods where there would have been no carbohydrate available, like during Ice Age. That's why we're so efficient. But the ironic thing is, you're much better off, in my opinion, supplying a certain amount of carbs so the body doesn't have to keep doing that. So I think it's healthy now and again to do it. I think if you're chronically obese, do it. And then once you get there, what I would do then is provide very healthy types of carbohydrates, things like I said, like boiled potato, green bananas are very good. They're very high in resistant starch, and then also some carbohydrates from green leafy vegetables, etc. Yeah.
So you think so a small amount of carbs is actually very beneficial?
Yeah, for both the gut microbiome and also from a hormonal perspective. You
So
don't
it stops
become
you from stealing from other places.
you don't become so cortisol dominant.
Okay.
Yeah, things function much better.
So how big amounts are we talking? Because I'm having no carbs other than the fruit I'm having in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm having no carbs.
Yeah, I would in the evening. What I would do is put some boiled potatoes in there now with some rice.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Just small amounts. How
just
much are you talking?
yeah, I'd say about 200-300 grams. Yeah,
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, but like once I do it on via my nutritional software, you see there's not much carbohydrates in that, and really maybe about 70 grams, something like that. Especially in the potatoes. Anyway,
Okay.
the rice is a bit different. But yeah, I would definitely, and then also then things like, as I said, fruit is much best eaten on its own, so it doesn't interfere with stomach acid.
Okay.
We absorb, fruit is probably the most natural food for a human being to eat. Yeah, but I still, as much as meat is as well,
Yeah.
like, those are foods which are hugely easily to digest, especially so I would tell you eat a little bit more fruit.
Okay.
Things like pomegranate seeds are really good, especially for prostate health for males, and things like the berries. And I always tell people organic all the time if you can, okay, which I know you do anyway.
Yeah, everything's organic.
Yeah. Okay, then so thyroid is definitely taking a bit of a dip, but that won't take long to get that back.
Okay.
And I'm not going to blame the carnivore diet for that, but it has declined.
Okay.
Okay, then on the steroid hormone production, okay, so the interesting thing this time is that your testosterone levels last time were around 23, okay, and this time they're around 25, so there's not a lot of difference, okay? So that's the good thing. There's not like that, because sometimes when you become too cortisol dominant, you can definitely lower, when the body's in fight or flight, it will perceive this isn't time for hanky-panky, and you go into a protection mode again.
Yeah.
So there's no real difference on the testosterone, so that's good.
That's good.
Estradiol levels have gone up slightly, okay, but nothing that would cause me any concern, because it's still well within the clinical levels. The only thing that has probably sort of gone up a little bit, but still well within what would be classed as a functional range, is your sex hormone binding globulin. So what you've got is still a lot of free bioavailable testosterone, okay, which is a good thing, and not a lot of your testosterone is going down the estradiol pathway. Some will go down the DHT pathway. So testosterone levels are still, there's no issues on the testosterone front. Also, what pleases me more than anything as well is your insulin levels. That is very, very good. They've dropped significantly. But what's interesting when we have a look in a second is that you're still very insulin resistant, okay? And there's another marker which is called adiponectin, which you're going to look at very, very shortly. Your prostate is fine. There's no inflammation in the prostate. Vitamin D levels have taken a dip this time. Are you still using the sunbed?
I am, yeah.
Every 5 days, every 3 days?
Twice a week.
Yeah, so, I would probably, how many minutes are you using it for?
Just 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'd probably go up to 5 minutes, okay? You'll be fine in 5 minutes. And all those people saying sunbeds give you skin cancer. So I've written a very comprehensive course on sunshine, and even a lot of real well-researched universities now advocating, again, a certain dose of sunbeds when there's no sun availability. So it's dose response, and I am a huge believer, and you get a very different response from sunshine than what you do from a vitamin D capsule, okay?
Yeah.
That's why you need to do it,
Yes,
so I would up it to about...
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or what I would do is maybe 8 minutes every 5 to 7 days, okay? But just up you definitely need to up
I do, I think Tuesdays and Fridays, I'll listen to 3 minutes sunbed. So
okay, up it to 5, yeah. Okay, so, let's have a look then as we come down here. Okay, so everything else seems... Okay, the other big things on here as well is your prolactin levels they've gone up much higher this time. There's a number of reasons that can happen, okay? Prolactin is a double-edged sword, unless you've been breastfeeding, yeah? We don't know, do we? Yeah.
I've just had 2 kids.
Yeah, exactly. So prolactin, males can actually produce breast milk, believe it or not. With prolactin, yeah. I believe so from my research.
That'd be worth some money, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Always tit milk.
Yeah, so...
How much are you going to pay for that, guys? Come on, hit me up in the comments. How much per milk?
And
it's going to be like Superman's.
Yeah, so
DNA.
It's much higher. Prolactin will signal the brain to try and to also, it can inhibit testosterone. Or prolactin can be high also after saunas. Yeah, so regular sauna therapy, which I'm a huge advocate of, it's massive for not just recovery. It's way more than that. It's something to do with heat shock, proteins, growth hormone, etc. Also detoxification, and also so that's gone up. But also estrogen can also increase that. Okay, the more estrogen dominant male or female is, usually the higher the prolactin levels. Like, prolactin is much more of an accurate estrogen marker than what estradiol is, believe it or not, in the bloods. From the research I've been looking at, whether I'm looking at the right, who knows. Also then, okay, just to move on then, your cortisol levels have increased, which is what, they're still fine, but they've gone up, and that's what, I mean, I had a guy the other day who's been on the carnivore diet for 3 years, and I have to say, and again, this isn't attacking the carnivore diet, it was the worst bloods I've seen. And I look at some really unhealthy people. Yeah, so that's, and again, that is not an attack on the car, so don't send the hate mail. May have been just coincidental, but it was a true shitstorm. Okay, growth hormone, IGF, that's come down a bit, which is surprising on a animal protein. But the interesting thing is as well, insulin is, which is called insulin growth factor. Growth hormone goes from the pituitary to the liver, gets converted to IGF. Insulin's involved in some of the journey. Insulin growth factor 1 is very anabolic, but you're still well within optimum ranges.
Yes.
And protein will stimulate, IGF. Very high protein levels can also reduce testosterone, by the way. Very high levels of protein, but we didn't see that. And the D-dimer, which I didn't mention, that's also a clotting protein. If there was blood clots going on, DVT and stuff like that, or the blood getting too viscous, that's why I do that, Okay, so now the interesting part, right, is when we look at, so we did all your B vitamins this time, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Was you taking a supplement, a multivitamin? Every day?
Not every day, but I do take a multivitamin.
Yeah, okay. So with the B vitamins, they're involved in a huge amount of things, but one of the main things they're involved is how you make energy within the mitochondria, okay? So let's have a look. So your B2 levels, riboflavin, was low. B6, super high, because you should find that also in meat products. Your folate levels, which is involved in methylation and also the red cell size, and also homocysteine, that was okay. This is why I knew that you were eating too much methionine. It wasn't a lack of B12, folate, and B6. It was really high. Okay. You just needed more. Okay, magnesium, you can see yours, that's much lower. Well, as I said, that's why you absolutely need a much higher dose of magnesium.
So still even now take more magnesium?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you absolutely do. Vitamin A levels, which is essential also for thyroid hormone receptor sensitivity. Also, let's have a look here. Now, this is why I wanted to do this. So we've looked at your leptin levels. So leptin is an adipokine, which is released mainly by your fat cells. It can be released elsewhere in the body as well. Signals the brain, look, you've had enough food, put your knife and fork down, and then it can speed up metabolism. So we weren't meant to be obese human beings, okay? So this is almost like the brakes. Yeah, we couldn't be like, Fat Ed walking across the savannah, 2,000 years ago. You are now the hunted, you're not the hunter. Yeah, so we've got certain things in place. And myostatin is another one, interesting enough, which is what you've got that deficiency.
Yeah, I've got deficiency in that.
Yeah, so we weren't meant to be these huge fucking muscular things as well, okay? So leptin should prevent us from being obese. Your levels are low. I think it's really in your case. Normally, a lot of people with obesity will have high levels of leptin. They're leptin resistant. The brain is not getting the signal that you've got like a huge amount of fat on you. The brain perceives it's starving all the time.
Right.
Your levels are low. You've got low body fat. Your body fat levels are coming down. You're doing intense physical exercise. You're doing things like hot and cold, and they can also reduce that. The marker, which is much more relevant here then, is adiponectin. Adiponectin is also released by the fat cells, and adiponectin is a main hormone for also increasing insulin sensitivity. And as we know, if insulin is on your side, you can't make a molecule of protein without insulin. Insulin stimulates the ribosomes to make protein. So insulin is not the enemy. You need to get insulin on your side, and adiponectin is a big player in that, okay? It sensitizes tissues, and there's a lot of foods from the plant world which will increase adiponectin, and also things like ironically, ice baths are fantastic for increasing adiponectin. Side note, you need a minimum of 11 minutes a week of cold exposure to get these benefits, okay? So there's not a huge amount, so it could be like 6 2-minute sessions, but that will also upregulate your brown fat tissue. And also significantly upregulate your thyroid function.
Right.
So those, are you doing much of that nowadays?
Loads.
Or okay, so
loads. More so now than I was doing the blood test.
yeah, right, okay. Okay, so your niacin, which is also involved in the what is known as the electron transport chain, is much lower. I would I think anyone on any diet, to be honest, especially today because we're also nutrient deficient, just a really well formulated multivitamin and mineral, preferably without iron, okay? Because there's so many people, unless you've got an iron deficiency, which I very rarely see, and B5, vitamin C is well below, well within the optimum levels. Also, the big ones then, vitamin E is really good, and also your growth hormone levels, again, are in the optimum ranges. And then we're nearly there. And also then on the fatty acids, this is still pretty good. Was you taking any fish oil or was you eating fish?
I have salmon every day.
Yeah, okay, so this is as good as it gets, okay? It can be a little bit better.
What was I literally saying this morning about salmon? One of the best foods for blood health.
Yeah, for omega-3 fatty acids, for increasing also, side note, omega-3 fatty acids also repair the blood vessel walls. Okay, they stimulate something known as endothelium progenitor stem cells, if I want to be fancy, and they act like road repairmen. If there's indentations, they help to repair that. Vitamin C is the most crucial nutrient for ensuring that the blood vessel walls are healthy.
One of my earliest memories with you is you telling me that fish oils literally lubricate the blood. And that stuck with me ever since. And I'm very conscious of constantly keeping a drip feed of fish oils to stop the blood getting thick, getting sludgy, getting sticking together.
Yeah, that's and even more important than that, when you really understand what goes on a real deep level, they almost determine the health of the cell membrane's functionality with all the different receptors. Okay, so and what determines that then, first of all, is your omega-6 omega-3 ratio, okay? Omega-6s are involved in something known as icosahmoid production, which is an inflammatory process. It's not bad unless it's overdone. Omega-3s are involved in something called resolvins, which reduce inflammation. So it's a yin and yang effect, okay? Neither one is really good, neither one is bad, unless the balance is out, okay? So your ratio at the moment is 6 omega-6s to 1 omega-3s. Optimum levels is 2 to 1, okay? So you need, I would tell you to take more high-grade pharmaceutical-grade fish oil. And also, as you know, with the salmon, always wild salmon, which I know you do anyway. The farm salmon is...
Organic salmon.
Is not good. And you've got to make sure, even when it says organic salmon, smoked salmon...
I do my best to get the wild organic. It's like, it's like rocking horse shit. And about 30 quid for 100 gram.
You're much better off taking real high-quality pharmaceutical-grade fish oil as well.
I do as well.
Okay? So that's good. So then the interesting part, last but not least...
So this is the stool.
Shit. Yeah, so the good thing is now, right, as I said, so no Helicobacter pylori, and as I said, I see that literally every week in my clients, so that's good. We can rule that out. Now, what's interesting this time, if you look at the immune system here, it's a lot more agitated in the gut barrier wall, okay? Now, beta defenses are known as antimicrobial peptides. They will be elevated if there's more pathogens coming into the barrier, and they're fighting, okay? They then recruit other cells, T cells and dendritic cells there to sort of take out that pathogen, okay? You'll also see that elevated as you start to move. That can also be an indication, yes, there's irritation, a bit of IBS maybe going on there as well, and that will start to come down again as you stop agitating it with so much heavy meats, in my opinion, and then more nourishing foods for these as well, which are again from the plant world and the fruit world, okay? And then also, so there's a lot of irritation there. Beta defenses are high. That's the highest I've seen in all the years of my testing, but again, I'm not going to make a mole into a mountain. It can fluctuate. Calprotectin, even though it says normal there, anything over 50, it's starting to show signs again of inflammation in the large intestine. It can also be in the gut barrier wall, but mainly from my research in the large intestine. So it can indicate IBS again, IBD. It can be a marker also for colon cancer as well, okay? Now, previously, In 2017, your levels were, God, it was the highest I've ever seen. It was 562. That is a huge, but you were eating literally
12,000 calories a day.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but what it shows as well, you can reduce this, okay? And now it's just starting to creep back up, but again, it'll come back down as well, okay? So it's definitely not in a red flag area. It's a bit like, well, hang on, take it a little bit easier on this, okay? Or provide it with more prebiotic type foods. There's nothing like still eat the meat. Now, bile acids have also gone up, which you'd expect on a carnivore diet. Yeah, bile acids are involved in fat emulsification. When bile acids go high, it's known as bile acid malabsorption. What that means is you can go from bouts of constipation to diarrhea, or you're eliminating also too much via the stool, especially fat soluble nutrients like vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin E, K2, etc. So that's what I've never seen that with you before.
Yeah, so I'd say the first month was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Crapping myself and like solid, not solid, solid, not solid.
Yeah.
Pretty even now.
Yeah, right.
Pretty just bang in the middle.
Yeah, because you need that fibre. And when I say fibre, I always talk about plant and vegetable fibre, not these idiotic breakfast cereals, which should be called death cereals. You know, you need the binding and to also add more solidified sort of stuff that the stool movement is much, and you can also detoxify much more efficiently as it's passing through the digestive tract as well. So that's a big indicator that you're, not all is quite well there, but it's that'll be back to normal now, I'm sure it is. Pancreatic elastase is a marker for pancreatic insufficiency or pancreatitis. In your case, your pancreatic elastase, which is an enzyme marker, is exceptionally good. Today, I'm not shitting you, I see at least 8 out of 10 with poor what is known as pancreatic insufficiency. There's no blood in your stool, so that would be classed over a certain level, so there's no issues there. And also, zonulin, which is classed as an intestinal permeability, posh word for leaky gut, is also 0. So that's
been bad in the past, hasn't it?
Well, the interesting thing is it doesn't quite tell the true picture. You definitely haven't got leaky gut, but you definitely would be moving towards it. So the interesting, when we look at your gut microbiome, the main ones that I'm just going to pick out is this one here, is the Archimensea. And I've looked at all your other stool panels, and you're always around like mid-range, like between 8 and 12. Now you're 0, okay? And ironically, the foods that they need are all really from the plant and fruit world. Now, what they are classed as is, ironically, they're known as mucus degregators. They actually eat away at the mucus lining, which sounds bad at first, but what they do then is that stimulates the mucus lining to produce more mucus. So once they are no longer available, you start to have a much lower barrier health. It's almost like the moat is getting smaller and smaller. It's a lot easier for pathogens to get into the castle, into you. So again, that's where the plants and the fruits and the herbs are so beneficial, and the fermented foods as well. So I'm not talking about eating like, processed carbohydrates, because people differentiate carbs between, they class carbs as the same thing. Like a dinky donut is not a boiled potato. And I know you know that. I'm not just teaching a suck head, but that's what we want, is some real sort of beneficial carbohydrates.
Complex carbs.
Yeah, and they feed the gut microbes as well as ensuring that our glycogen source. So that's the big one. Everything else is actually not too bad. Your gut microbiome diversity is still good. It would have taken a bit longer than 3 months for that to have changed, okay? You've still got no parasites there. There's no bacterial pathogens. There's no fungi. The biggest thing, as I said, these markers here, the first 7 are known as host markers, where they mean they're part of you. And the others are obviously a separate entity, which is the gut microbiome. And the gut microbiome is just starting to change a little bit, but it's not definitely. The biggest thing for me, I said, was the lack of Archimensea, which you get in about 15% of the population. But it's also, Archimensea, just as a side note, is involved in glucagon-like peptide, which is what these skinny jabs are trying to stimulate. And GLP also increases insulin sensitivity as well. So it's all connected. So that's a brief summary of your lab work. So if you want to ask,
How long was that, James?
Run time 57 minutes.
That was a brief summary, 57 minutes. Right, Jesus. Well, Phil, that's been fascinating. Thank you, Phil.
No worries, Ed.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.